Hello everybody and happy Easter. This is round 4 of this year's World Monoposto Sim Racing Championship, and we'll be racing at the Kyalami circuit in South Africa. 67 laps of action-packed racing lie ahead of us, but in a couple of minutes we'll start with qualifying first. But before we go there, let's look at the weather that we expect for today. And this is the first one for Kyalami. I think 2 races we already had on this circuit, and today is the first time we won't see any rain in any session across this weekend. And before we jump into qualifying, let's also look at the driver standings after 3 rounds. Pascal Polens, the reigning champion, still on top, 3 points only ahead of his main rival this year, Filip Puška. Knežević then is in 3rd, Lucas Murno, first non-SCMM or Vanguard, in 4th, Yannis Wilborn still in 5th, though Axel Laflamme has caught up. And also don't forget about Gustavo Frigoto and Jose Soriano, who are right in the higher midfield fight. Let's also look at the team standings. Vanguard Engineering, the reigning champions, on top here as well. SCMM in 2nd, and then there is already kind of a big gap to Cesario in 3rd. HRT then in 4th. Bravo Neuchâtel, United Racing Club, Beta Julia, Lucky Hamish, and Potenza are then P4 to 9. And then Apex, Dano Design, and Snapline Performance still waiting for their first point scoring finish this year. Qualifying is about to start in 1 minute, so I will welcome my brother and co-commentator once again to the virtual commentary box. Elias, how are you today?
Thank you very much. I'm fine. Thanks for having me. And as you said, I'm very excited for this qualifying here at Kyalami.
Yeah, and we'll see the jump into the session in just a couple of seconds now. We still have quite the... Oh, look at this. I think that is Alex Knežević giving us a bit of a show there. No, it's Pascal Polens doing a couple of donuts there in the pit lane as we are waiting for the qualifying to start. Still quite the full grid, considering that today is the Easter holiday. So thank you to all the drivers who made it today, as qualifying is now about to start. And look at this, they're already queuing up at the end of the pit lane. The light will go green in just 10 seconds. And Gabriel Peckley has won the race to the end of pit lane. He'll be the first one to leave pit lane. Let's see if he stays in the lead on that outlap. Both the drivers have been quite racy before the qualifying session has even properly gone underway. Some changes this year compared to last year concerning the pit exit. This time the drivers will have to stay within the wide lines, and Pascal Polens, look at this, he looks quite racy, trying to get past the SCMM ahead of him. We've spoken to Vanguard Engineering team boss Kevin Peters ahead of this race, as we always do. And look at that, I think Knežević has gone for a move and is now the first car on the road. Yeah, Vanguard's not too optimistic about this race here today. They see the advantage at SCMM and now also at Cesario, with the higher downforce philosophies that they have chosen in terms of their rear wing design. Vanguard Engineering with the rather high downforce approach. They see their chances a bit slimmer today. Let's see. Knežević now finding his way around the final corner to start his first flying lap. So let's stay on board with him, as he will be the first one to set a lap time in this qualifying session. This turn 2, Crowthorne actually, and I hear you ask there, isn't this turn 1 actually? Well, the small kink on the start-finish straight is considered as a turn in Kyalami, so this is a bit confusing, and I think we will get that wrong during the broadcast a couple of times. calling turn 2, actually turn 1. But this is looking like a decent effort so far. Through Sunset, he's already been. Through the Estes, this is the only part of the old Kyalami circuit that is still around. But then we turn left here. The old track went right. We're now going past Loikop, turn 11. Through turn 12, Mineshaft. Keep it pinned, now go to the left of the track. Tricky corner here, Crocodiles to get the braking right. He did that well. 2 purple sectors still. No one has beaten his sector time so far, so this looks like a very competitive lap time from Knežević, who took the first pole position of the year, and this is a very good lap time.
But Lucas Murno is very quick. And the first 2 sectors. And it's quicker.
Yeah, you're absolutely
By
right
far.
there. Oh, yeah. Both Cesario's now in first and second, but Murno really turning it up here. And I think this is a first statement of intent.
Yeah.
That this today is their chance. So far, the race wins have always been contested between Filip Puška and Pascal Polens, as things get a bit hairy there for Puška into Crocodiles. This certainly won't be a good lap time. I think there was a snap line that got in his way. Premier also for this team. For the first time we have 2 snap lines on the grid, as Filip Puška puts his car on the front row provisionally. He splits the 2 Cesarios. Knežević ahead of Polens. This is interesting after the first runs. And it will stay that way for a bit longer as they both come into the pit lane where Polens spins it. Janis Wilborn hasn't been too happy with the performance of the HRT so far.
Double DNF last race, I believe.
Yeah, I think the last... Yeah, HRT. No car saw the checkered flag at Malaysia.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Neither Misha Smith, who has a horrid season so far. Look at this, Gustavo Frigoto into P3. And this is interesting because look at the rear wing of that car. That is a super low downforce design that Bravo's No Shelton have gone with. But Frigoto has been impressing so far this season. But this is a new high for him. So we have the 2 Cesarios back out on track, currently on an outlap. New name also in the second Bravos No Shelton. We have Amariz in there. Currently P9, so this is a good qualifying position. Davi Amariz currently in the pit lane. So let's see what he can do. With only 20 cars so far on the server, I think this is an opportunity for many of the cars in the lower field to snatch a point away today. As we see Lucas Murno going for another run, trying to extend the lead that he currently has by 0.6 ahead of Filip Puška. So I think what Kevin Peters' team was of Vanguard Engineering predicted.
Let's see. Pascal Polens is on a quick lap. He's a bit quicker in the first sector there.
Oh, this is interesting. You're absolutely right. Now we follow him around. I think he's already approaching the end of that lap. Personal best in the middle sector through Crocodiles. The last sector essentially is just 2 corners.
Oh, Lucas Murno quick in the second sector. This will be close, I think. Let's see.
So Poland's across the line. He's second. But the gap is way closer. Let's see if Murno can improve. Already hinted at, the first sector wasn't as quick. Middle sector's been very good. But it's not an improvement. See what Pushki can do. There was a car parked there on the apex. Get out of the way. There's Wallborn. I think there is a lot of lap time still to be found around this track. We saw Murno improving the middle sector. The first and second sectors haven't been as quick. And probably also Philip Pushkin and Axel Flam have more in their car. Flam had a brilliant race at Malaysia. Let's see if he can build from that. For the most part, he even outpaced his teammate. Oh, as this is getting very messy for Gustavo Frigoto, and I think we will have a penalty coming the way of that better Julia, who just came out of the pit lane. What was that? Was that Benton Reader? Yeah. Yeah, that is just silly. I mean, he came out of the pit lane. He must have seen that there is a car on the flying lap, so why did he go for the apex? So that was really silly there.
Yeah.
And Frigoto was on a flying lap. As we see Philip Pushka also on a flying lap, but there is no improvement. So is his current time already the limit for SCMM? Nazovic will start another attempt soon. Messi Mikkonen also looking good right now. 11, I think that would be a new height for Snapline in qualifying, but they also have the high downforce design, which the very high downforce design, which we think might be beneficial around this track. The only properly long straight is the pit straight, and even that isn't too long. So let's see if Snapline can score a maiden point here. As we're now following Pascal Polens once again. The first sector split is coming up right here ahead of Sunset. And it's slower even compared to his personal best. Middle sector is looking better. Not better than what Lucas Murno has done, but it's a personal best. Let's see if he actually finishes this lap or if he decides to come in, which he does. I think there was a snap line almost getting into his way. Knezovic, though, is going to finish that lap. Personal best in the first and second sector. Let's see, where does this put him? Third.
Murno is improving in the second sector again, and
Pushed the purple in the first sector as well. Frigoto in the meantime up to fourth momentarily as Laflamme has now pipped P3. Taking that one away from Knezovic that we've just seen. So now they are turning it all up.
Murno with a new personal and best lap overall.
Yeah, the gap's just gone up to almost half a second compared to what Poland has done. But this is crucial for the championship. Philip Pushkin needs a lap right now. Overtaking can be rather difficult around this track. Philip Pushkin up to second, as we've just received an update on penalties. I think it was a 3-place grid drop for Paolo Willami for blocking. And Benton Reader even received 5 places back in the starting grid. And we've seen that incident, and I think that is a well-deserved penalty. As I think everybody's now preparing for the last run in qualifying. As we see here, Davi Amariz is up to 8th. The Bravo Snow Shatton looking really competitive around here. Frigoto mixing it in with the Vanguards and SCMMs. And Amariz he's best of the rest pretty much. Not too far behind his teammates, so on his debut, he might be able to snatch another point for Bravo Snow Shatton. Last week, in spectacular fashion, it was Thiago Mello who scored his first point of his career for Bravo Snow Shatton. Gustavo Frigoto also qualified well in Malaysia, but his race didn't even last 4 corners as he was caught up in an early race accident, so he will look to come back from that. As we will now see everybody trying it again. Murno, Pushka, Poland, Laflamme, Knazovic. That is currently the order. And again, it's Pushka and Poland right together. Murno, so far, has looked bulletproof. I think he's the favorite for pole position. But I think from P2 onwards, everything's up for grabs in these last laps of qualifying. Here goes Knazovic, starting his last lap of the session. Hello, Danilo Vaz in the YouTube chat. Just confirming that Davi Amariz is actually the new second driver for Bravo Snow Shatton, as Thiago Mello will continue to drive for Bravo Snow Shatton, but in rather sports car championship events. So a bit of personal change there over Bravo Snow. And yeah, Davi looks really at home in these cars, as we have improvement for Axel Laflamme in the first sector and also in the second sector, as we focus on qualifying once more. Checkered flag is out. Knazovic will be the first one across the line. Is there going to be an improvement? No. Laflamme looks to be able to jump up the order.
That's got Poland's personal overall best in the first sector.
Now this is interesting. Laflamme couldn't improve in the final sector, so he's still 4th.
Renault's improved his lap time.
Oh, but now Poland has an
traffic.
HRT in his way. Smoke coming out of that car. That might have cost him. Middle sector. This is where the Cesario is right at home. But Pascal Polands is improving there as well. It's not a session best. Pushka has bailed out of it. He's in the pit. So no improvement from Philip Pushka. Can Poland snatch P2 away? Yes! Poland's on the front row ahead of his championship rival. Not able to beat Murno. Murno's in the pits as well, so no improvement from him either. And I think there is everybody across the line. Hello, Reuven Meshid in the chat as well. Glad to see you in the chat. Still following WMSC. Former driver and former race winner in this series. As we are looking at the qualifying results. Lucas Murno will start from pole position alongside Pascal Polands. Philip Pushka has been beaten in the last laps of qualifying, as he will start from P3 right alongside his teammate Axel Laflamme. Knazovic then 5th, Gabriel Peckley 6th, And then it's an all Bravos, no shutdown row 4 with Frigoto starting alongside WMSC debutant Davy Amaris, who did an amazing performance here in qualifying. Diogo Meneghetti the 9th. Yanis Woolborn completes the top 10. And here will be the rest of the grid. Michi Smith, 11th, Tina Curtis, 12th, Daniel Benton Reader, 13th, but he will start from P18 because he has received a 5-place grid drop for blocking Gustavo Frigoto, Pessy Mikkonen, 14th, and then it's Gabriel Joubert, Harley Self, Matheus Machado, James Rokai, Paolo Kyalami, and Maximilian Jaeger. Jaeger didn't set a lap time, but still he will start ahead of Kyalami, who also receives a 3-place grid top penalty. So we just get confirmation of these penalties once more from race control. And we'll be back for the race session in 10 minutes. So see you all then. Welcome back to Kyalami, where the race is about to start in 2 minutes at exactly half a past. But before we do that, let's look at the starting grid. Before we go racing, Lucas Murno starts from pole position alongside Pascal Polens. Then an all SCMM row 2, Philip Puschke ahead of Axel Laflamme. Knezovic 5th, Gabriel Peckley, good qualifying position for him in P6. And then in row 4, it's the two Bravos, Neuchâtel's Frigoto from Amaris, who is giving his debut here in WMSC today. Hugo Menegretti then in P9, and Johannes Warborn is 10th. Then on page 2, these are the qualifying results. Misha Smith and Tina Curtis. This will stay as it is. But then P13 will actually be Pessi Mikkonen and P14 Gabriel Jubert, because Daniel Benton-Reader has been given a 5-place grid drop for blocking Gustavo Frigoto in qualifying. So Harley Self, Mateusz Machado and James Rokai, they will all move up one position as well. Then it will be Daniel Benton-Reader and P18. Paolo Kyalami has also received a 3-place grid drop for blocking in qualifying, so Maximilian Jäger will be moved up one more position. That grid has already been set by race control, so we're now just waiting for 1 more minute until qualifying starts. Drivers are currently in warm-up session, getting some last laps in before we go racing. Now over to you, Elias. Who do you predict to win this race today?
I think when Murno wins the start, he has a very quick car today and he can drive in front without any problems. But when Poland's or Puschke can win the starts, they can challenge them. But yeah, my guess will be on Murno if he have a successful start.
And this is a very good guess. The last 2 races have been won by pole position. Only one race, the first one, which was won by Pascal Polens, there was Alexander Knezovic who started from pole. But I will go with Philip Puschke wins this one, just so it stays in pattern. The first win this season for Polens. Second race was won by Puschke. Third race win was Polens. So I'll say Philip Puschke wins this one. In the chat, Dominic Rustemeyer, welcome to you too. He's backing his sister team, the Vanguard guys, of course. He says Pascal Polens and Knezovic are going to pull it off. And they need the Bosnian break of Alex Knezovic to put SCMM into their place. As we now have all the cars on the grid. We're waiting for the lights to go out now, which has happened, and it looks like a good launch there for Lucas Murno, but Pascal Polens, I think he's already properly alongside. Into Crowthorne they go for the very first time. Can Murno hang on to the lead? He goes down the inside. Polens was having a look around the outside. Now it's a small right-hand kink, but then a proper left corner, and Lucas Murno has retained the lead. They all stay as they are, except for Gabriel Peckley, who has moved up 2 positions past Laflamme and Knezovic. I think in the background, Amaris has dropped a lot of places. He's down to 17th. Yeah. He was down. He started right behind his teammates in P8. So a lot of changes there for position. The timing tower was just glitched and shot as Menegretti as the race leader. He's in a battle with Woolborn, as it seems right now. Peckley up the hill having a look against Philip Puschke. He's under pressure from Axel Laflamme as well. Into Crocodiles. Is there an opportunity for Laflamme? He looks racy, and we always know he's going for a move if there is an opportunity, but he's holding back so far. Murno has already pulled out a gap of over a second to Pascal Polens, and this is what we saw so often last year, where Lucas Murno was just dominating the races from the start, and I think he held on well to that race lead against Pascal Polens, who was trying to make a charge. But Murno had the inside line and defended this one well. I think he is under control now. But of course, strategy, tire wear, and pit stops will come into play later this race as well. And I think we have a 100% safety car quota at Kyalami in the WMSC. I mean, the last two races were both rain affected. Nothing of that today. Someone off the track, and that was Pascal Polens. Dramatic moments here early on. Big moment there for Polens. So he has dropped a position to Philip Pushkin now, and he will say thank you very much, because that is one headache less to worry about for the man that is currently second in the championship, because passing has been so difficult against the Vanguards. But Polens has pretty much done that job for him. Look at that Murno immediately with the fastest lap time. Head and shoulders above the rest of the field. Benton, Rita and Jaeger, what have they done? They're up to 10th and 11th. Rigoto has also dropped down.
I think there was a bit of, not that well start for some of the drivers in the midfield. They dropped a lot of places. Harley Self, for example, P19. He was starting P15. As I said, they did a very, very high jump.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think Benton, Reed and Jaeger, they started P18 and P19. They're now up to P10 and 11. So a lot of chaos there in the midfield in the opening two laps. But it wasn't all at the start. Frigoto was still in P8 early on. And now he's listed as DNF. So it might also have been connection issues for Frigoto. Yeah, he's immediately back into the pit, so I think that is a disconnect for Paolo Villami, as Axel Laflamme seemed to be very slow there ahead of the final corner. Janis Walborn is through. Both HRTs now in the points. Misha Smith in P9, so maybe finally a bit of a break for the HRT team. But some of the front runners struggling here. Frigoto looks like... yeah, he's out of the race. Second DNF in a row, and Amariz on his debut, he's in the pits as well. Also, rotten start for them. This is a lengthy pit stop as well, so I believe there is some damage on that Bravo Neuchâtel, as Pascal Polens has reeled in Philip Pushka once more after he had an off-track moment as well. I believe Kyalami, one of the rather more challenging circuits for a driver. Rather technical one, especially with some of these cars running a rather low downforce setup, because that is something that the teams had to decide for ahead of the season. They can, of course, develop different rear wings, but they won't be as good as had they decided to go for a different aero philosophy at the beginning of the season. So they are now bound to what they have gone for at the start. As Axel Laflamme versus Janis Walborn. We had that in the second race in Bahrain, and that ended in tears. And there is absolutely no love lost between these two. Rakai battling with Harley Self. So a lot of action up and down the order. Frigoto has rejoined the server. He's one lap down, but he's running again, I can tell you, in P20. There he is. Oh, and I think we have the first retirement of the day. Gabriel Joubert has been asked to retire the car. He is now in the pits. I think he was somewhere far off the track. So that is one of the Apex cars out. Apex and Snapline, with a weight reduction upgrades ahead of this race. And now all cars at 15 kilograms reduced weight. while Tina Curtis is looking right at that rear wing of Maximilian Jäger, who's beginning to drop down after the stellar first 5 laps that he had, from 19th to still 12th as it seems, and that is some aggressive defending. Well, he was fully ahead. I think no harm done there. As Laflamme is still looking at the rear wing of Wulborn's HRT, and Knezovic is hassling Gabriel Peckley around the circuit. Also, lots of activity in the chat. Thank you for tuning in on this Easter Sunday. Dominic Ristemeier being happy about United Racing Club, who unfortunately have no driver in this race today. Oh, as Wulborn and Laflamme once more tangling, and they are losing a lot of positions there, and I think this is something that race control will once again have to have a look at. Meneghetti's gone through there. Misha Smith is past Laflamme. Knezovic is super close to Peckley into turn 2. Oh, and now there is Benton Reeder in the 3-car battle as well. And he's also someone who isn't afraid of a big lunge. Don't know where you want to look in these early laps. Great start to this race. Lucas Murno has it under control, as also pointed out by Dominic in the chat there. Mauricio Quercio, also great to see you in the chat, backing his compatriots, who for the first time this season is in the lead of a WMSC race. And right now, after 7 laps, it looks like he has that one fully under control. And here, I think, goes another attempt for Axel Laflamme. Is it going to be a big lunge? Wulborn defends the inside. Laflamme very late on the brakes, and this one looked very well behaved. And I think that was because it actually wasn't Wulborn that he was fighting, but Misha Smith. I think, oh, was there a car in the wall? Was there a front wing missing? I think Diogo Meneghetti was in the wall. Oh, and big off! Oh. And that is a big accident, and I think he lost his front wing.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a great result for Potenza. He was the main benefactor of the incident there between Wulborn and Laflamme. No update from race control as of yet, but I think this one could be a safety car.
Full course yellow, mentioned by the race control. And Pascal Polens is in pits.
Oh, this is interesting. So, Pascal Polens. Oh, this is... Well, all of the cars are obliged to go through pit lane as soon as the full course yellow is called. Polens stopped. Murno and Pushka haven't been into the pit lane. Now, it would be interesting to see where they were when that full course yellow call came.
In, and Knezovic also hits it, as does Janus Wulborn. And
I think everybody Yeah, I think everybody that's coming in now is stopping for fresh tires. And I think that was a really lucky timing for Pascal Polens, as it seems, because my suspicion is that Murno and Pushka were already past or right at the pit entry, so they couldn't drive through the pit lane.
Let's see.
I mean, if this full course yellow goes on, they will have the opportunity to come in at this lap and do exactly the same. No information yet if this will be upgraded to a safety car. Right now, they are all obliged to go at the pit limiter speed. As there we still have the reason for that full course yellow that we currently have, Jogo Meneghetti. What I think happened is that he dropped it out of turn 5, barbecue on the curb, hit the opposite wall on the inside then, lost his front wing there, and then because of the front wing, tried to go too fast through sunset, and then he hit the wall there.
The incident between Walborn and was it La Flamme?
Yeah.
Will be investigated and talked about after the race, as Charles said.
Okay. So La Flamme Wilborn investigated after the race. That's interesting because I didn't get that call, but I think that it was from another person, race control, that you only got.
Oh.
I think they were just asked they can go through the pit straight now, so they don't have to go through pit lane, is what they've been asked. But Murno and Pushka are now countering the pit stops from essentially everybody. The full course yellow did go on for long enough, but this, look at this. Ooh. This is a race at 80 kph for the pit exit. But I think Pushka will still stay in position. Oh, this is the slowest car race ever. Oh, and Pushka reaches the apex first. So, Meneghetti has been asked to retire the car. So I think we will go back to racing speed anytime soon now.
This will be interesting. By the restart.
Yeah, absolutely. They're now right together. They're still... Oh. And go, we are racing again, and Pushka, I think, has gotten the better restart. Yep. Just for information to the viewers out there, there is a countdown, like 3, 2, 1, go. You can't hear it on stream because we only get the race director calls, but yeah, they have a countdown. It's not all of a sudden lights go green. There is a proper countdown for them to react to. So La Flamme has dropped behind Benton Reader. That must have happened in the pits.
Yeah, everyone was in the pits except for Tina Curtis.
That's interesting. So Curtis taking the track position there. He was in a battle with Maximilian Jaeger earlier, and this is La Flamme against Benton Reader. This should be an easy pass completed into turn 1. Benton Reader not giving an inch there. But there was a car with aggressive and hard defending, but not over the limit, and Axel La Flamme is up to P7, and right behind his sort of nemesis this season. Yeah, as you told us, there will be a discussion after the race in terms of racing standards, because I think Laflamme and Woolborn is not the first time that they've been overly aggressive towards one another. And we only saw the end of that situation, but from there it looked like Laflamme was pushed off the track from Woolborn, but as I said, we only saw the end of it, so we don't know what happened before that incident. So, yeah, let's see what comes of that. But there has been a crash between the two of them and multiple instances of contact in Bahrain, and I think also last week or 2 weeks ago in Malaysia, I think both also received a final warning for being overly aggressive when fighting each other. So I think this is a rivalry that we can look forward to for the remainder of the season. And this is only race 4 of 16. I think it's quite obvious that Axel Laflamme can go a lot quicker than Yannis Woolborn. It's just the passing is the thing. Into Crocodiles they go. Immediately Woolborn looks to defend a bit. Final corner. We saw a few ambitious dives there in the previous races on this circuit. Laflamme has the light curse boost that Ciuman has opted to build into their car. HRT doesn't have that, neither does the Cesario of Gabriel Peckley of the two. But the slipstream that Woolborn will be getting from the Cesario will certainly help him defend from Laflamme. Laflamme is now super close into Sunset, but this is not really where you can make any moves. Needs to be close at the end of the pit straight. Maybe Crocodiles. Or maybe even the final corner if you're very ambitious. The car going slowly. I think just letting some lap traffic by. I see Mikkonen has retired. Interesting.
Maybe a disconnect?
Yeah, might be. There's once more. I think that is Harley Self against Maximilian Jäger. Very crucial to get a good run out of the final corner. Here is the slipstream.
Close, but
Yeah.
it's too far away, yeah.
Yeah, I think the corner is just coming too soon there, but he's still looking. Hang on, I think you need to be fully alongside to have a chance into turn 3 then again. Oh, that looked ambitious from the apex behind, who looked to show himself in the mirrors, but nowhere near making a move. As this here is shaping up to become a 4-car battle. I think this is Knezovic at the top of that group. And then there's Peckley, Woolborn and Laflamme. I think really encouraging news now for HRT after that double DNF that they had in Malaysia. Today they look to be a bit more on the pace. Woolborn is currently fighting for P4. But now he has to cede the position to Laflamme. Now he comes back and defends that position. Now there was Even,
Oh,
oh
and he
no,
lost
the
it.
slightest of touches. Oh, but I think he,
Saved it.
yeah, well done that save there by Giannis Wallborn. I think he was a bit too aggressive over that curve there. Still trying to prevent Laflamme from making a move into turns 4 or 5. I think that will be a sigh of relief for Laflamme. But I think what we saw there was well done by both of them. Laflamme left the space on the inside. And Wallborn came back, but I think within the limits as well. Not pushing him wide. Laflamme will now have the next 2 cars to fight. Jesse Mikkonen is back.
It's back. Yeah.
2 laps down, so we have 2 cars that briefly disconnected from the server. So I think Mikkonen and Frigoto will now have a race of their own. I think Frigoto will have hoped that Manegretti Grash would have brought out the safety car, because in that case he would have been allowed to unlap himself. Now we still have to live with that 2-lap deficit, and this must be so frustrating for him, because in qualifying they were right there with the group that we are watching right now. Knezovic, Pekli, Laflamme, and now both Bravos and Shattons well down the order. Amari's still on the lead lap at least. But yeah, I think at the start already something went wrong.
Yeah. Ooh, there's a bit going on, and boy.
Well done from Axel Laflamme. I think there was a bit of a mistake there.
Yeah.
Out of Crocodiles from Gabriel Pekli. I think Laflamme saw that opportunity, didn't hesitate a second, and this is another position that opens up for him. And now this once again will be an interesting story, as Laflamme is now right behind Alex Knezovic, who took his second seat at Vanguard that Laflamme still had last year. And they also had exciting battles in Malaysia. So once more, Laflamme trying to prove to his old team that it was a mistake letting him go. Also, I think there has been a bit of confusion regarding the full course yellow. The rule this year, as we've already pointed out, is that drivers will have to go through the pit lane as soon as a full course yellow is called. And now everybody did that, except for Murno and Pushka, who are first and second, and were first and second. They didn't do that. Well, yeah. There was no decision from race control regarding that. Of course, we also didn't have a replay, so we didn't know where they were exactly when that full course yellow was called, and if there still was time to react to go into the pits. I think Kevin Peters has been in discussion with race control regarding this, and I think there will also be a bit of discussion on how this will be handled in the next races. This rule has caused a bit of chaos here and there in the first 3 races already. But the situation remains as it is. Confirmation from race control. Right now, we have two separate battles of SCMM versus Vanguard on track. This is the one that we've been watching on and off in the last couple of laps. Pascal Polens is still with Philip Pushka. These two earlier had the slowest battle for position I have ever seen on any sort of racetrack. And now it's Polens who looks to be able to go a bit quicker. And I think Pushka is defending this one really well, and I think he will make use of that curse boost that he has in that car out of this corner here, so that Polens, who has the quicker car in the straight, won't be able to attack into turn one. So I think this is where the advantage swings towards Vanguard, but then the first corner comes too soon. And there's no chance for Polens to make any sort of move, so I think he has to rely on a mistake. Something very unusual that we've seen from Janis Wolborn before, when he let Laflamme past. He's now caught up to Gabriel Peckley, who I think has been running as well this race as it hasn't before this season. I think that might be another battle coming up. And now we've seen 10 more laps of racing. This is when most of the cars came in for the first pit stop. But that, of course, was on the full course yellow, so we have no indication yet on tyre life, as we see Paolo Kyalami in the pits right on cue. Now, Elias, you said that Tina Curtis didn't stop during the safety car period, right?
Yes.
So, or full cars yellow, sorry. So, oh, James Rakai with a penalty. But we didn't hear from race control, so this is one issued by the game. So it's either track limits or speeding in the pit lane, but I don't think Rakai was in the pits.
He was.
Oh, so then I think definitely that is for speeding in the pit lane. These are handed out automatically, so he will have to serve a drive-through. Harley Self now in the pits as well. So this is interesting. Actually, there are people pitting. Oh, but Self came in to retire. So we lose another car. I think Paolo Kyalami only just left the pit lane, so that was a stop to repair some damage, I assume. He's been in there for quite a long time. He just came out when we saw P2 and 3 passing by. In the meantime, absolutely dominant performance by Lucas Murno. We haven't seen much of him, but that usually indicates the dominant performance. The gap is almost up to 8 seconds. James Rakai has been asked to retire the car, so he's stopped on track somewhere, so already 4 retirements. Jubert, Meneghetti, Rakai, and Self. Self came into the pits to retire. Rakai has just been in the pits, received a penalty, but I think when he left, he stopped somewhere far off the road in a safe place, so he's been asked to retire the car. Same happened to Jubert earlier, as for the first time, I think Pascal Polens had a little look there into Crowthorne. Here is Laflamme and Knezovic, where it's just the other way around. SCMM trying to pass a Vanguard. But he wasn't as close. Apologies if you heard that. I just hit my microphone accidentally.
Very fair. From a lapped car there. That's on both parts and straights. Straight.
Yeah, that's a good point there. No troubles with blue flags so far. We've seen that in a couple of races in the past. Not only in the past few seasons, but also this year. I think we heard a few final warnings for ignoring blue flags the last times. And now I think for the first time Pushka is forced to defend. He went towards the inside there. Poland's had a look around the outside. He's still very close. Oh, into turn 5 they go now. I think Sunset is not where he can make a move. Now, was it them choosing different lines? Or does Poland have a bit more traction and a bit more grip right now? Because through Sunset, it looked like Poland could take this corner at a tighter angle. And this is interesting. Tina Curtis is now in the pits. So lap 25, she made that tires last. So I think we'll still see 2 more pit stops.
Yeah.
On most of the field. Some may try and do it with only 1.
It's a long way to go.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But it might be possible if you can stretch them 25 laps, and then 10 from the first stint. As we see Pascal Polands once more forcing Pushka into a defensive movement there.
Flamme pits.
That's early. But I think this is trying to put Knežević under pressure, trying to go for an undercut as Poland's into Sunset Bend looked to attack there.
Maybe he's trying to get Pushka into an error that he can pass by. But Sunset is very, very ambitious to overtake.
Yeah, it's barely a lift in these cars. So yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on there. Trying to force an error from Pushka. Essentially, this is how we saw most moves being made, at least at the top of the field. But still, I feel like Poland has a bit more grip in these tires right now.
Yeah.
This time he isn't as close. Benton Reed and I'm also in the pits. So I think pit stops for the top drivers are also not too far back. Here is Axel Flam. He has already pitted and I think he's now on an undercut mission against Knežević. Knežević didn't pit to react.
Nope.
So I think there we will see a strategic battle forming from now on. Knežević has been really happy this season so far to extend stints and go for rather less pit stops. So let's see if this is what he's doing here as well. Because I think from La Flamme we will see at least another pit stop this race. Warborn in the pits, Smith in the pits. HRT double stacking, now this is interesting. And I think, yeah, Knezovic has given up track position. This is the fastest lap of the race for Axel Laflamme now. I think if Knezovic were to stop now, he would definitely come out behind Laflamme. So I think he's rather going for the tire offset later in this race. And if we're looking at this here, I would say that the SCMM is a bit more aggressive on the tires.
Yeah.
Oh, penalty for Misha Smith, and he was just in the pit. So I guess this is speeding, and Pascal Polens. So this is it. There is the undercut. They are playing the same thing that SCMM is doing on them with Knezovic and Laflamme. So it's a good pit stop. Oh, the pits. Polens goes. Keep to the left of that line. Knezovic momentarily up to P3. He's still staying out. Beckley in the pits as well. And he comes out behind Wilborn, so I think Wilborn made the undercut work on Peckley as well. Because I think he was behind the Cesario before he came into the pits. As we saw, that's how it was the last time we saw them on screen. But let's see, does Pushka react immediately? Or is he trying to extend? He does react immediately, but I think there's a good chance that Poland will move up to P2 right now. Murno is still completely unbothered by this. He has a lot of time to react. So here is Pushka's pit stop. We saw Poland's turn on to the start-finish straight already, and I think it's not even close.
There's a lot of space.
Yeah, look at that. How much is that? 3-4 seconds, maybe. Yeah. Current gap, 4.5 seconds even. So the undercut's super powerful, but that also means that Murno can't take too long to react to these pit stops. You know, the two Vanguards now right together, and I think this has been a bit unfortunate because I think Poland's lost a bit of time here. What's going on there? Why isn't Knezovic diving out of the way? Well, that's a bit silly. They should be on the same channel in TeamSpeak and talk about these kinds of things. I think Poland might have lost a few seconds there. Murno has been in the meantime. And there is Knezovic now. I'm being told that this was all planned from Kevin Peters. To have Kneza still behind. And they wanted Kneza to cover Philip Pushka. So I think that one just worked a charm. Not only did they gain position, they also... Okay, this is Misha Smith. He has a penalty, but this rather looks like a pit stop what he's doing now. To my information, it's just a drive-through that he has to serve.
Yeah.
he stopped. He's going out, and WMSC is going for a move against Maximilian Jäger. So, on his Bravo Neuschattel debut,
Fighting for the points.
yeah,
But,
even after dropping down so far, he's still right there.
yeah, but he lapped on lap 10 as everybody else did, so he needs to come in for another pit stop, at least.
Oh, yeah, it's a good point. So WMSC is currently out of sync in terms of pit stops, so he will have to come in once more. Whereas I think Maximilian Jäger did already serve his second pit stop. Also, Misha Smith is still behind them. Pulling out of the way nicely from Amaris. Someone off the track as they were trying to let Murno by. And Murno's still stamping his authority on this race. Another fastest lap. He's fully in control of this one. So I think the only one that can take this race win away from him, as it seems right now, is he himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think for the Pushka, I'm a bit surprised that he wasn't able to run away from Poland and that he's now currently rather dropping back to his main opponent in the Drivers' Championship. On the other hand, I think Pascal Poland will be absolutely fine with Lucas Murno winning this race.
Yeah.
Because as long as he is ahead of his title rival, I think he doesn't care too much about what Lucas Murno is doing, and if he's winning this race, because I think Cesario on these high-speed circuits, they've been absolutely nowhere. They need these rather technical ones, and then they seem to be unbeatable, but in this case... Oh, this is so ambitious try there by Misha Smith. I see what he was doing, trying to take advantage of Jäger, letting the leaders through. Oh, apologies, we had a bit of a lag there.
Banging wheels. And now both are off the track.
Yeah.
And Amaris has the advantage of this fight.
Yeah, I think he will have been the only person happy to see that happen in front of him. I think he'll now have to see position to Misha Smith immediately.
Yeah. His tires of it, I believe. Struggling to...
Misha, come on.
Oh. I think race control will have a look at this.
Yeah, I
What's
mean,
going on here?
Misha Smith and Jäger, that was way above the limits. Was there enough room for Smith to dive down the inside on the pit straight? I think yes. But then I think, yeah, things got very, very messy. And I think the move on Amaris, that was not on. No. Too late on the brakes. Should have just waited one more corner, to be honest. It's like his tires are dead. And he wasn't even fighting that one too hard. He was just turning into the corner regularly. And then a wild Misha Smith appeared on the apex. I'm not too sure about the first incident. At least I had a bit of a lag when that happened, so difficult to say what exactly happened there and who was at fault for that. But then later, Misha Smith and Damaris, I would say that's at least a slap on the wrist for Misha Smith, because that was a way too ambitious dive into a corner where, well, we don't really see an overtake into turn 10 League Cup. I mean, I understand the frustration on Misha Smith's side. I mean, he had that coming together then with Jaeger, and then earlier he had to serve that penalty for speeding in the pit lane, just as things were looking well for him today. A return to the points after this season had started so messy. Poor Smith. But he just needs to keep it calm and collected and keep your nose clean. I think we've said this so much in the history of WMSC pretty much. You have a good chance for points in this series if you just manage to keep your nose clean. And I think this is what Jose Soriano has done to perfection in Better Julia. He is not here today, but for Better Julia, it still looks like Benton Reader has a good chance to score some points today. And that will also be a welcome return to the points for Benton Reader. 2 DNFs and 1 did not start in Malaysia, where he didn't race at all. And this comes right after him finishing P2 in the season finale last year, his first podium. This year, Better Julia, pace-wise, they're just not where they have been in the first 3 years. Where they were always midfield contenders. Right now, that car is far off the pace, but I think what they're doing with it is still very, very impressive. Also impressive, I think, Pascal Poland's performance. He's continuing to pull away from Philip Pushkin.
Yeah.
I think both SCMMs in a bit of a no man's land. Laflamme pulling away from Knezovic.
And Misha Smith has a 5-second time penalty for pushing another car off track.
Yeah, so I think that is for the overtake on Maximilian Jaeger, because then they were both off the track. Let's see if anything happens with Maurice, the other contact that he had. Oh yeah, just got confirmation where race control from chat. So the 5 seconds are actually for incident responsibility with Amaris. So yeah, this is what the 5 seconds are for. And he still is running on those rather old tires at this point. I think what he's doing is trying to go for, well, what in the end will be a 3-stop race for Amaris still. But if we're just looking at pit stops after the full course yellow, he's still waiting to do his first pit stop.
Yeah.
And I mean, pace-wise, he's still sticking with Jaeger. I think he all gets that on the pit straight. The only thing is that Misha Smith is now pulling away from Jaeger and Amaris. So let's see when he will decide. Pit. Once more, he's quite close. As we go into the final corner, once again he stays out. Oh, and Jaeger, I think, a bit wide into the final corner. I think he hasn't been as close the previous time, so we might see a move here. Down the inside, Dawi Amariz up into P11. Now can Jaeger fight back? He has the tyre advantage. But the Bravo Snow is so much quicker in the straight that this one will be difficult now to get back. Gabriel Peckley has caught up to Janus Wilborn once again. Wilborn undercut Gabriel Peckley in the last round of pit stops. But pace-wise, the Cesario seems to be the quicker car. There is a bit of a tyre offset. Actually, I think that tyre offset is just 2 laps, so don't know how much of an advantage that actually is. But I think now, once again, one thing will come to haunt Gabriel Peckley, and that is the lack of straight line speed in that Cesario. Which isn't ideal if you're trying to overtake someone. So he will have to get creative. And getting creative while trying to pass 2-time WMSC champion Janus Wilborn is even harder of a task. And I think what concerns the top 10, Peckley vs Wilborn is the only on-track battle that we currently have at the moment. Everywhere else the gaps are quite comfortable. In terms if we consider, I think, the whole field right now, the gaps are quite comfortable. But once again, a safety car could happen at any time. Four retirements we already had. And I think it's a bit of a disappointing afternoon for Snapline. We thought they might have had a chance today with the weight upgrade, with a decent qualifying effort by Pessi Mikkonen. And then, yeah, maybe the prospect of not having 24 cars on the grid today, and some of the point scorers, the regular point scorers, struggling a bit. Gustavo Frigoto having that early disconnect. He reconnected and is now even ahead of Pessi Mikkonen. I think Mikkonen still also had an issue where he was listed as a DNF for like a lap or so. James Rakai in the other Snapline is out of the race. Yeah, there might have been an opportunity today. But I think once more, they will go home empty-handed unless something very unusual happens here. Of the teams that haven't scored so far, it's Matheus Machado in the highest position. P13 for Dano Design Racing. Ahead of Paolo Willami, Apex, another of the 3 teams. As we have a question from Dominic Wustermeyer in the chat. Question for the commentators: who do you think has the best driver pairing this year? Ooh.
Difficult to say.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to say it's I think it is Vanguard.
Yeah.
Pascal Poland's is currently, I think, the best performing driver in WMSC, and I think Knežević is a solid number 2 driver. Very dependable driver. A bit off pace if you compare him to Pascal Poland's. There are some races where I think Knežević can definitely beat Poland's as well, or is at least on pace. But I think, yeah, both of them very experienced. And yeah, I think that is the strongest driver pairing. Closely followed by SCMM, I would say. Filip Puška, very capable, very quick. And I think Laflamme is an interesting prospect still. This is his second full year in WMSC. he had some wild moments this year and last year as well, but I think Malaysia was really a sign of things to come. He's been really quick there, outperforming his teammate over a big portion of this race. I mean, ultimately, Pushka finished ahead, but pace-wise, I think Laflamme could have beaten him. And he did so in qualifying even. But I think these are the top two teams right now.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, go ahead.
As I'm new to the series, I'm not that into the drivers and the history, but as you said, I would stick with your opinion. Vanguard Engineering has very strong driver pairing with Pascal Polens in the front and Knazovic. I think he was helping Polens in Bahrain, when I'm correct.
Poland? Knazovic, Poland.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
Bahrain.
it was.
Yeah, good teamwork there, and SCCM is another great driver pairing, scoring podium after podium, and yeah, so I will stick with your opinion that.
As if you consider the history of WMSC, Philip Pushka, from the first season on, I mean, he has won races in every season of WMSC. It was just he wasn't able to properly stay in the fight over the course of the season. There were off races here and there. Then also the pace of the cars in which he was competing was on and off. So I would be really interested to see Philip Pushka in a Vanguard, for example, or maybe in last year's Cesario, because I think then he would have been able to properly mount a championship fight. But I think this year, it's still a long season. I think this year could really be the one where he takes the fight to the last race, and then let's see what he can do under pressure.
Yeah.
I think if you asked me ahead of this season, I would have put HRT right there as well. I mean, they have the two-time champion Yannis Wilborn back, and Misha Smith has been performing very well at the second half of last season too. But then this year, I think the car is just too far off the pace. As I think we see Laflamme, who is opening the last round of pit stops right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think during our talk about the question, Benton Wieder was in the pits as well, and he's currently at 8, so it looks very good for them to score points today.
Yeah,
and Amaris is also in the pits now.
So indeed, Amaris stretched that tire set to the absolute maximum there. But I think now he's in a very good position to go to the end of this race. So if he just puts clean lap after clean lap in, I think points might still be on the cards on his WMSC debut, which would be an impressive feat. Especially considering that he had to come back for it. Oh, we had a change of position on track. Gabriel Peckley's passed Yannis Wilborn once more. I think we didn't see that on screen. But these two have been running together pretty much since the start of this race. So I think this might also be a battle that is decided in that final round of pit stops. And Peckley starts that one. Oh, this is interesting. So no undercut for anybody here. As Peckley preempts an attempt for an undercut by Wilborn. So this is down to the battle of the pit crews. Pit crews can be upgraded in WMSC as well to be quicker. And it looks like Peckley had the bit better pit crew here. because that gap is bigger than it was before. And he was released earlier, so Peckley goes into this last stint with an advantage over Yannis Woolborn. And I think that the gap between Pushka and Poland is just far too big for Pushka to try and undercut, because I think Poland has at least 1 lap, probably 2 laps time to react. Pushka coming in. Misha Smith in P10 pitting right now as well. I don't think there is any danger for him to lose that position, because we just saw Jaeger and Amaris on track right together. Misha Smith is released, serves his 5-second penalty, and is back in P10. There is one car blasting down the pit straight, but I think that is race leader Lucas Murno. And here is the battle for P11, so he's the entire pit straight clear of Jaeger and Amaris, and I think Amaris is going to retake that P11. Jaeger isn't fighting that too hard because he can't. He's trying to come back around the outside, but yeah, no chance to defend against that rocket ship that is the Bravo Snow Schatzen in a straight line. And this is a tough task now for Amaris to overcome that gap to Misha Smith, who's currently in P10. 13 seconds. Too much, I think. I think Woolborn is already closing that gap to Peckley that occurred after the pit stops. Or he will have to do it on track. The top 4 are still yet to pit. We don't expect any changes of position there, except Knežević, who will fall behind Laflamme when he comes into the pits. But I think what Vanguard will at least try to do here is to go for the tire offset and then try to catch up to Laflamme later in this race. Poland and Pushke in at exactly the same time, but the gap was 8 seconds when they turned into the pits. So yeah, look at this. Pushke just arriving at the scene when Poland is already leaving the pits. So no changes at the front. Let's see where Knežević is. Can he get in the way of Pushke? No, he can't. Pushke a couple of seconds ahead. No, also nothing that Knežević can try to do. Holding up Pushke, but for what reason anyway? Because I don't think Pushke will pose any danger in this last stint to Pascal Poland. But right, the opposite might be the case right here. Peckley and Woolborn still jostling it out for P6. We have a warning for a slow car on track. That usually happens when someone has lost their front wing and is crawling back into the pits. I'm trying to see if someone is dropping a lot of positions. Might be Machado, because I think Machado dropped down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not even the front wing, it's the rear wing. Oh, this is dangerous because there's Peckley and Woolborn. All been warned. Now he's picking up the pace again. Oh, Yeah, this is the thing when you don't have any rear wing anymore. As soon as you put the power down or try to steer, your car just gets incredibly loose. It's a bit like bull riding. Oh yeah, he's made it finally now. Just one more corner to go. Yes. In the meantime, Lucas Murno has been into the pits as well. And he will easily rejoin in the race lead. So all he has to do now is not cross the white line at the pit exit, stays as far away as possible from that. I think now all he needs to do is stay on track. Look at that gap. Poland's only now arriving at Crowthorne. Murno is long gone. And then I think pretty much the same gap then between Poland's and Pushka. I'm also keeping an eye on the gap between Michi Smith and Davi Amariz for the final point scoring position. I think Amariz has gained 2 seconds, but still, I don't think this is enough to be able to fight for P10 in the end. Although, it's still 17 laps. Let's watch that further as the situation develops. And this situation here has developed much in the favor of Yannis Goulbourn, who is close to Gabriel Peckley once more. And we might even see another battle on track. Laflamme versus Knežević. Knežević hasn't stopped since lap 30, so his tires are shot. And okay, this is interesting. Laflamme reacts, so he stays behind and wants to do it on track, or doesn't want to give Knežević the tire offset to maybe attack later on, and feels confident about passing him on track. But this is very, very good news for us. I think, yeah, Dominic in the chat also not really getting what that was all about. Laflamme has only been into the pit 7 laps ago. Lap 45. We all thought that was the final lap, but he came in once more right now. I don't really understand what the thinking is behind that. So 4 stops. Max Laflamme. Or did he really think that he was having such a disadvantage on the older tires, on the 7-lap older tires? Curtis into the pits as well. He came out in P9. Good race for her as well. We didn't saw much on screen for her, as we have some brakes damage from Matheus Machado. He has retired in the meantime, but this is interesting. This is something that we've seen every now and then in WMSC, plaguing the drivers. Brakes wearing too hard, brakes wearing out. It was especially bad, I think, 2 years ago in Bahrain, where essentially half the field didn't have any brakes left in the end. And then last year, Azerbaijan, where it was almost Goulbourn's sensational win on return for HRT, but he didn't have any brakes left in the end. As also that happened to many drivers that day. So let's see how this develops. I mean, this is the first dry race going the full distance we had at Kyalami. I think there might be a bit more brake wear than we had the last 2 times we came to this circuit. But usually the drivers will test this and come in prepared. So let's see if Machado remains the only one with some brake issues. Could also be the reason why he had that accident where he lost his rear wing. We saw him crawl into the back, crawl back into the pits a couple of laps ago. As we're now following this battle, Aflam has closed the gap to Knezovic, but now he has to do it on track. This is a very interesting strategic choice by Aflam. I mean, having to make a move on track always increases the risk of an incident. Well, that's a bit of story building done in WMSC.
He needs to do it at the second turn, not the first one. Because there's no really overtaking spot here on this track, except the car in front gets an error. He's too far away from overtaking.
Yeah, no chance into turn one. Dominic in the chat, I don't have a good feeling about the battle between Knez and Laflamme. I think Axel will completely send it. Well, let's see what he does. He's known for aggressive maneuvers, but I think in Malaysia they were all okay and very entertaining for us. Let's see what he can do here. But yeah, as you already pointed out, Kyalami not really known to be a racetrack with many different overtaking zones. But I actually like that. I mean, overtaking is definitely not impossible on this track. But drivers will actually have to work for an overtake, and it's not just like... it's become a thing on the Camel Straight, for example, in Spa-Francorchamps, where it's just like, if we had DRS, well, I would just push a button and breeze past. Or, in fact, stay in the slipstream and then go by into the next corner. Here you actually have to work for it and work out where to do this. I think this is what Laflamme is doing right now. He has Curse to work with. Knezovic doesn't have that in the Vanguard. But do these... Oh, I think Knezovic lost it. Yeah. And I think he even hit the wall. Oh dear. So, no battle. Knezovic giving that position away easily. And not only that position, Eckley and Wilborn are through as well. Let's look at the angle of that steering wheel. Did he make contact with the wall? I think he did, but only slightly.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any bad damage to that car. Oh, that's a bummer. That might have been a great battle that we had to watch till the end between these two, who have provided us with so good racing action the last two races. But I think we'll see another battle that could be a very interesting one, which is the battle of former Pascal Poland's teammate Janis Wilborn and current Pascal Poland's teammate Alexander Knezovic. The first 2 years of WMSC, it was Janis Wilborn alongside Pascal Poland's for Holland Racing Team. Both times it was Wilborn who came out on top. Then Wilborn took that sabbatical Poland's made the switch to Vanguards. And Knezovic joined HRT last year, so a lot of history here. Knezovic against his old team. And the old teammate of his current teammate. Into turn 1, he's getting close. He's showing himself in the mirrors, and I think he unsettled Yannis Wolborn there. Yeah. Another rare error by Yannis Wolborn, who slightly opened the steering, or had to open the steering. And that has worked a charm. But this is exactly what you said earlier, Elias. Trying to show yourself in the mirrors, trying to force the other car in a small error, and that was really just a small error, but it was enough for Knezovic to slip through. And now he has to do the same thing with Gabriel Peckley. I mean, one thing you really have to take into consideration here, with Knezovic spinning out exactly, I think here it was, 2 laps ago. These cars with the low downforce rear wings, especially on a track like that, are so much harder to drive than the high downforce. It gives you a big advantage on the straights. We've seen that in all races pretty much so far this season. But then again, putting the foot down with such a low rear wing is a very, very delicate thing, and it just lures you to making mistakes, into the rear overtaking the front, as you just don't have that much downforce on the rear axle of the car. And I think very contrary design philosophies will meet on track in a couple of seconds when Knezovic will try to find a way past Gabriel Peckley. Here we're now following Paulo Kyalami, who's just behind Gustavo Frigoto, who we haven't seen much of this race after he had that disconnect early on, which is a shame because he was running in the point scoring positions. But that still isn't the end of any point-scoring ambitions for Bravo Snake, because I've just seen the gap between Misha Smith, who's currently in P10, and Dari Amariz is down to 3 seconds. So he actually managed to close that gap. Maybe there was a mistake for Smith somewhere, or the tires are just giving in. But I think there will be a battle for the final point-scoring position quite soon. But first, let's focus on the battle for P5. In these last 7 races of the lap. No, that was very silly. 5 last laps of the race this way around. As Knezovic is now really, really close. Is he close enough into turn 1 already, or turn 2 if we're being exact? It's very late, that dive. Peckley, I think, had to open the steering. Oh, and there is big contact now. Oh, both into each other. And I think that looked like it was on Gabriel Peckley.
Yeah, I think he lost it on the Wolborn. Tries to get the advantage from this incident, and he's done it against Peckley.
Yeah, Wolborn will have rubbed his hands seeing that ahead of him. As Misha Smith is in the pits and he's given up P10. Davi Amariz is up to P10 now and about to score a point on debut. here goes Smith out of the pits. Gabriel Peckley is still following Woolbourne around the course. Let's see if any penalty will be issued to Peckley for incident responsibility. We saw the onboard from Knezovic, so we only saw that he was being hit by the Cesare. We don't know if he lost the car or what was the reason for that. But yeah, I think it was going to Peckley to avoid that contact there, because I think he should have seen that Knezovic was alongside. I mean, the track does make a light kink there to the right, but yeah, there was more than enough room for Peckley. At least that is what was my impression from that accident. Then again, it was very cheeky by Knezovic diving down there. He was very much relying on Peckley opening up the apex to that corner, because it's not like he was alongside him to turn 2. Yeah, he really was relying on Peckley to open the steering wheel. Pretty much a Max Verstappen-esque move there from Knezovic. Offering Peckley, either you open the steering or we both crash. After all, Peckley opened the steering, but they still crashed. So I think Knezovic won't be bothered too much because he got that position now. Of course, there might be some damage to that car, but I got an update from Kevin Peters from Vanguard Engineering that I think La Flamme has some damage to his car as well, as he was hitting a wall out of the final corner a couple of laps ago. So there might be some light damage to that SCMM as well. But I think unless he makes another big mistake, he should be fine in P4. Knezovic 10.5 seconds down. Peckley and Woolbourne still running together. This is the closest battle that we have on track, and that we will have for these final 3 laps here. And Peckley is close down the hill here, but he's lacking the straight line speed that is required to make a move. I think he has to do something like Knezovic did.
Yeah.
But I think Woolbourne just won't open the steering. He will say, okay, this is my corner, I will turn in and make you look like a fool. Or he has to force an error by Woolbourne, because Woolbourne has the tendency, if the car is not where he wants it to be, to overdrive these cars. We saw that in the first 2 seasons of WMSC when he was in the dominant or in the very good HRT, but sometimes there were tracks where the HRT wasn't as well suited to, and this was then races where we saw a lot of mistakes from Woolbourne as he was trying to overdrive that car and trying to go that extra mile, but that sometimes resulted in him making mistakes. I think we just saw Yannis Woolbourne in the Lucas Murner in the pits once more.
Was in the pits, yeah.
So he was an entire pit stop clear of Pascal Polens now, and is now going for the fastest lap. There is also a cash prize in it for the driver that will have set the most fastest laps in the end of a season. We just got an update from Race Control. Racing incident between Knezovic and Peckley. So yeah, there will be no penalties issued for either of the drivers, and we can enjoy that 3-car battle to the end of the race. Danilo Vaz in the chat, team boss of Bravo's Neustadt. Yeah, a bit frustrated with how this race went for his boys. Frigoto and Amaris with a lot of potential in this race. Qualifying went well for them, but then Frigoto had that disconnect, and Amaris had something happen on the first lap that saw him drop a lot of positions. But at least, and this I think is still a very respectable performance, to come back from there on your first race in the season and still finish in the points, even if it's just 1 point. But I think there is a lot of potential for Amaris in the Bravo Neuchâtel, especially considering they have a very low downforce car, and this is definitely not a very low downforce track. So I think races like Monza that we'll see later this season, I think this is where Bravo Neuchâtel can really shine and maybe surprise one or the other driver. So this is already the second to last opportunity for these three to make anything happen. We see Peckley very late on the brakes, having a look around the outside. As Lucas Murner just set the fastest lap and is beginning his final lap of this race. These three are just a couple of meters ahead of him. I think they won't be lapped by Murno, but they will go the full distance. There's still no change of position as they're making it through the final corners of this racetrack to start their final lap. And I think just a couple of 100 meters behind there is Lucas Murno. We didn't see much of him, but he will come home to win his first race of the season. The third driver to win a race this season, the third team to win a race this season. Lucas Murno wins the race in Kyalami in dominant fashion, almost 15 seconds ahead of Pascal Polens, who I think still will be very, very happy with that result. Damage limitation complete. What damage limitation? They even outscored their title rival Philip Puschke, who will complete the podium in P3. Axel Lafleur. Oh no! Peckley and Woolman come together! Big accident there! And I think this is both of them out of the race, and I think there will be a huge penalty issued for unsafely rejoining the track if they deem that Woolborn was under control of the car there. I think the first incident, I think it was... Oh, Misha Smith has lost the front wing as well. What's happened there? I think we have... So, confirmation. Okay. It wasn't Peckley and Woolborn. It was Smith and Woolborn, apparently. But this will be looked at after the race. Drama after the race has finished. Let's see if we get a replay there. Okay. So, unfortunately, we couldn't make that work. So, back to the live images. So, let's catch our breath quickly. And look at the provisional race results. So Lucas Murno wins ahead of Pascal Polens, Philip Puschke. Definitely there will be no change there. Axel Lafleur in fourth, just misses out on the podium, but I think there was still a good performance for him. Knezovic finishes fifth, and then Janis Woolborn, Gabriel Peckley. There is a lot of discussion, I think, still going on after the race. We have confirmation that this incident will be looked at after the race. I just got word from race control that actually that was between Woolborn and Peckley, that incident. So, yeah, I wonder what really happened there. For me, it looked like Peckley went for an ambitious move, hit Woolborn. Woolborn then came back on the track and completely took out Peckley, but we saw that very much heat of the moment as it was already happening. So, yeah, take that information with a bit of caution. These are all the cars that finish on the lead lap, so I think even if there was a penalty for someone, they wouldn't lose that lap. Benton Reader then in 8th, good effort from him. Another couple of points scored for Better Julia. Tina Curtis then 9th, and Davi Amariz finishes 10th. Gabriel Peckley has just received a 20-second penalty because this was the last lap of the race, so it wasn't a drive-through, but a 20-second penalty that he will get. It won't make a difference, I think, because Benton Reader was a lap down behind him, so that won't change the final results. And then tough luck for Misha Smith, who finishes 11th. Maximilian Jaeger is 12th. Gustavo Frigoto, tough afternoon for him. He finishes P13. Paolo Alami and Pessi McKinnon, the last cars that actually finished this race. And then our non-finishers are Matheus Machado, Harley Self, James Rokai, Diego Menegretti, and Gabriel Joubert. So let's quickly catch our breath, as this is the final result of the race here in Kyalami, round 4 of 16 of the World Monoposto Sim Racing Championship. We're now waiting for the top 3 drivers to be moved in here for some post-race interviews. In the meantime, I have some information from the Apex camp. They are planning to bring a low downforce wing to Canada, and there might have been potential today for a point if their drivers were in the correct position at the right point of these races. And well, they will bring some upgrades to Canada, but then take a long time until they will bring some more upgrades. And okay, I'm sorry. We've just got another confirmation from Race Control about the top 3. So this is where I stopped talking. So yeah, some bigger upgrades for Apex for the next race, but afterwards they will save some budget for bigger upgrades. And here we have the top 3 of today's race now with us. First of all, over to you, Lucas Murno. Congratulations for your first podium and your first win of this season. It's good to have you back. Talk us about through the race start from your perspective. I think that was the only time you were properly challenged this race, wasn't it?
Well, first of all, I was missing to be there with you. First of all. Well, this track really suited our car very much. I was a little bit more motivated for this race as well, because I made a bet that if I won this race, I would earn an Easter egg, and in the end, I got it. So I got my Easter egg, so I will eat very well. But the pace of the car was really another car compared with other races. I felt the car really quick and really very fast for the first time this season, so it was very, very good to see. I didn't expect it to be this dominant at this pace, but especially knowing that our car has to put a lot more fuel than our rivals, which put us in an extra weight that we loses a lot of tense. So we didn't expect it to be at this position, but in the end, I'm back, and Cesario is back as well. Peckley made a good race, but he had a little bit more in trouble with the bad timing stopping. But I think this victory was more about the track suite, and I will enjoy it very much. I would like to congratulate Pushke and Polins, the 2 protagonists, to get to this podium once again. And now let's take a look for Canada and see how much we can do for the next ones.
Do you have any upgrades on the way for the next couple of races to be competitive also at different sorts of circuits?
No, we will not do nothing until probably the probably Nürburgring or something, or some tracks. We will plan, but for now we will not do in for Canada, especially because we would like to see how much we can be next until we take a look for good upgrades on the car, since we had troubles with the drag speed. So we would like to try to manage it as much as possible.
All right, then thank you. Congratulations once again for your first win of the season, and happy Easter to you.
Thank you. Happy Easter for you as well.
Thank you. Okay, over to our championship leader and second place finisher today, Pascal Polens. That was a rather difficult afternoon for you before the race, we suspected, but in the end, it's still a P2. Were you surprised what the Vanguard was able to do on this circuit?
Well, first of all, big congratulations out to Lucas. I think it was very dominant today. And yeah, for my race, we're also expecting to be behind SCMM, but not behind Cesario, because they were, nowhere close to us before in other races. But we knew it was about P2, and in the end, it was about P2. So I think we are happy that we could achieve that in the end, and we're all looking forward to Montreal now.
So Montreal should rather suit your car better again. Do you still think it will be a tough fight with the SCMM in these kinds of tracks as well?
I think under normal conditions, it should favor our car more, but Montreal is also in a special place, I think, because it's just slow corners, all about traction. So maybe they are closer than we think they will be, but we will only know once we race there. And also, Montreal is crazy with the weather, so also another factor that could play against us. But yeah, we can just take the chances we get. So yeah, that's how we look into it.
All right, absolutely. You're right about that one. And once again, congratulations for extending a championship lead and P2 today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Philip, now over to you. This was rather a difficult race, and I think you were at one point just caught between Pascal and your teammate, and you didn't seem to be able to make any inroads. Were you surprised to be behind Vanguard pace-wise today?
Not really, because I already felt that the practice I didn't feel comfortable at all. Don't really like this track. I don't know. I just couldn't hook up a setup that would allow me to actually get a good pace in the end. Tires scuffed, and yeah, it was just a messy race. I think P2, P3 was the maximum I could have gotten with the setup, and obviously myself as well, as driver. So yeah, I think it's a little bit disappointing. Not too much, but obviously a little bit. I think Mono did a fantastic job, very dominant, and it deserved win for him. Congrats to him. And yeah, I need to do a better job myself again next race. Hopefully, I think it's going to be a little bit of a difficult one on trail for us. So yeah, a podium would be good again, but will be difficult. We'll see. Yeah, I think it's not too bad because I didn't lose too much points on Pascal, but still I did lose points. So yeah, let's try to manage it to not lose too much points in the next race.
And tell us about how these cars are to drive, because we saw a lot of drivers struggling with grip on the rear axle, especially under acceleration out of slow corners. Did you suffer from these problems as well, or is that not a problem in the SCMM?
No, not really. It was just mainly understeer, high speed. I think I just bottom out in the fast corners and just, slid off all the way to the edge of the curb and swapped my tires. So that's probably why I lost so much in the fast right-hander after sector 1. Yeah, but it's obviously my fault as well for setting up the car in the wrong way. So I think that's a good opportunity to actually gain some performance back.
I want to ask a question for you. Any upgrades planned, any key upgrades planned for the next races at SCMM?
Yeah, a little bit. I think there will be a bit of upgrades coming all the way. So I think they're going to be a little bit on the upside. But again, I just think that Montreal is going to be a difficult track for us, considering what Pascal already said. I think under normal circumstances, in dry conditions, I think the Vanguard should be the best car there.
All right, then thank you and congratulations to your podium today as well.
Yeah, thanks.
So, and that has been it with round 4 of the WMSC 2026 season. Already now there is going to be a 3-week break until we return to Canada on April 25th. So yeah, tune in to not miss any action there. It's going to be an absolutely wild race because it always has been so far in Canada. And yeah, thank you all for tuning in today, and we'll see you all the next time. Goodbye.